Let's just go through our problems. And again, some of these are really straightforward and be really brief, some are going to take a little more time. But find the circumference of the circle, use your calculator's value of pi. And again, you can use your calculator's value of pi, you can use 3.14. Honestly, just use 3.14 if you're going to use a decimal. I'll take it either as exact value or as a decimal approximation using 3.14. Okay, I'll have it done both ways on the answer key. So, if that's the case, I will need a calculator myself. Ta-da. How do you find the circumference? Circumference equals
11.
Diameter times pi, or 11 pi. And what are we forgetting? Inches. And if I decimalize that, that's 11 times 3.14, or 34.54. Do not forget the units. Forget units, you lose points. Find the area of the circle. Again, same instructions. So area is r squared times pi. So the radius here is not 6. The radius is 3 feet for the radius. So that'd be 9 pi feet squared, or 9 times 3.14, 28.26. See, that's why I like leaving it in exact values, because I don't need a calculator to square 3. I mean, I can pretty much handle that. I think you can do that too. I'm pretty confident in your abilities. You can square 3 and probably get that number 9 really fast. Okay? Find the length of the arc round your answer to the nearest tenth. That should be pretty obvious which arc they're asking for here. It's the one that's darkened, the 315 angle. And again, this just goes back to our formula that we saw before. Set up our proportion. The 360 down here, so this is angle. We got compared to an angle up here is 315. The unknown is the arc length. That's what we're looking for. I also do not know the circumference, but I can find the circumference because I know the radius. It's 22 pi. The circumference is 22 pi. And then we cross multiply, or actually I could just multiply both sides by 22 pi. So it's 22 times 3.14 times 315 divided by 360. And 60.4, and the unit is meters. 60.445 if we went to all the decimal points. You could also technically leave that in terms of pi. Hold on. Be 77 pi over 4, I think, if you left it in terms of pi, meters. Yeah. Either way. The area of the sector, again, sector area, same formula. It's just we're going to use, because it's area, we're going to use the area formula. It's still angle over 360 equals sector area over total area, which is 49 pi. Now this is actually even easier because it's clearly just a quarter of the circle. So I could just take the whole area and divide by 4, right? Just 1/4 of the circle. So I found the whole area, I could just divide it by 4, and that would be my sector area. Same thing. But if I take 49 times 3.14 and times 90 divided by 360, 38.47. And here the unit is feet squared because it's an area, it's meters or units squared. Find the area of the regular polygon. This is the one that you're going to get that, notice we had one like this on the quiz too. We talked about this yesterday. A lot of times the first area of a polygon problem, you don't have to solve any triangles to solve it. It's all right there for you. All you got to do is basically calculate the perimeter given the length of one side, which is easy. I've got a hexagon here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So 6 times 18 is the perimeter, or 108. Remember, it's perimeter times apothem divided by 2. So that's 108 times 15.6 over 2. We multiply that out, that's 842.4. Now, units were not given here, so when units are not given here, we need to assign a unit. And I don't care what unit you assign, but usually if one isn't given, I just use centimeters because it's easy. And it is an area, so it'd be centimeters squared. If you use meters or inches, I don't care, but just don't leave it blank. It should have some unit with it because it's an area. We always need to give it context. Any questions on these problems 1 through 5 so far? We reviewed those pretty heavily yesterday. Does that be pretty straightforward for you? This one's a little more tricky because we are going to have to solve a triangle. So I am given a length of a side, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is a dodecagon, 12 sides. Okay? So the perimeter is 12 times 6, or 72, times the apothem divided by 2. That's going to be my area, right? I just don't know the apothem. So I work out my triangle. I've got my little magic triangle here that we're going to work on every time. I know that this is half a side, so this side has to be 3 right there. Try to make that a green 3, just to go with the green, right? The apothem is what I need. And I can figure out this angle. This angle, what's our formula for this angle? It's not 360 divided by the number of sides. It's 180 divided by the number of sides, because half of that 360 divided by sides. So it's 180 divided by the number of sides. 180 divided by 6, or by 12 equals, I'm sorry. Well, 180 divided by 12 is 15 degrees. Okay, so that angle is 180 divided by the number of sides. Is that angle? Be careful, it's not 180 divided by the length of a side, 6. It's 180 divided by the number of sides, which is 12. So once I have that, I'm looking for the apothem. If this is my angle, we have our trig. This is the opposite. There's the hypotenuse. This is the adjacent. So opposite adjacent are what we're interested in. So that's tangent of 15 equals opposite over adjacent. Now, we didn't run into one of these yesterday where the variable's in the denominator. So just a quick reminder. When that variable is in the denominator, the only way to solve that is to multiply both sides by a and divide both sides by tan 15, which is essentially swapping locations. I saw a couple people who swapped locations when the variable was in the numerator. It doesn't work that way. They are different mathematically. Okay? You can't just get locked into just switch, just switch, just switch. You always have to be adaptive in math. Look at the situation, decide what is the appropriate technique in this case. So a equals 3 divided by tan 15. And by the way, so if you came with the length of the apothem, if you did 3 times tan 15 instead, and you got 0.803 for the apothem, clearly that's not correct, right? The apothem is much longer than the length of a side here, or the half of a side. So that doesn't, make sure your answers make sense. So this is 3 divided by tan 15, which is 11.2, which makes much more sense. So 72 times 11.2 divided by 2. Or 403.2. And the unit here is yards squared because it's an area. Please, on these types of problems, circle your final answer so I can locate it. Some of you just like to write out stuff and have your final answer, and it's kind of all over the place, and then I'm just like, where's their answer? I don't know which one it is. Makes it a lot easier when you circle it, or put a box around it or whatever. Surface area of each figure. Now, I can almost guarantee you, folks, that you're not going to have boxes here. When you did surface area and volume when you were in like 7th and 8th grade, you did boxes. How to find the area of a box, a rectangular prism. You aren't going to see those here. But again, this boils down to check your formula. First off, decide what kind of shape it is. This is a prism with a triangular base. So the surface area, since it's a prism, is the perimeter of the base times the height. I'm sorry, I think it's 2 base areas plus the perimeter of the base times the height. That's the formula that's on your sheet. Right? So I got to figure out what the base is. Start with that. Let's find the base area. The base is this triangle. And we know this triangle is a base of 8 and a height of 2. So that's 8 times 2, base times height divided by 2. That's pretty easy. That's 8 inches squared. Okay? The perimeter of the base is 8. This is 5 and this is 4. So 8 plus 5 is 13. Plus 4 is 17. And the height is the distance between the bases. Not this height, not the height of the triangle. This is the height of the prism, 7 inches. Once I've identified those pieces, then I plug into the formula. It's really in your best interest to write down that formula and then identify what goes into that formula. So be very systematic about this. Don't just try to dive right into the formula. It's a mistake to do that. You will make errors. Because now I can say this is 2 times 8 plus 17 times 7. Or 16, and that's 70 and 49, 70 and 50, 120, so plus 119 is 135, and that would be inches squared. That's an area. It's all done. So again, be systematic with these prisms and pyramids. What kind of shape is it? Is it a prism or pyramid or a cone or whatever it is? What shape is the base? That's usually the next question you ask yourself. Okay, I got a trickier one here. Is it a prism or a pyramid? This is a prism or a pyramid? It's a prism. The sides are rectangles. Okay. What shape is the base? Base is a trapezoid. Ooh, okay. So it's still 2 bases plus perimeter of the base times the height. Okay. We'll get to the base area. I can find the perimeter of the base pretty easily. That's 5. This is 7. That's 12. Another 12 is 24. This is congruent to that one, so that's another 7. So the perimeter is 31 miles. Okay. The height of the prism is the distance between the 2 bases. And that's indicated as, up here, 8 miles. Base area. What's the formula for area of a trapezoid? Is that on your sheet? Is that one on there? There it is. So what is it? It's height over 2 times base 1 plus base 2. Now, again, we're using, it's tricky because we're using the words height and base again, but they're different height and different base than we talked about here, isn't it? It's the height and base of the trapezoid. So it may be helpful to just draw your trapezoid off to the side. And that's 12, 5, 7, and 7. And this is 6.1. Now it becomes more clear what numbers are going to go into this formula, isn't it? The height is 6.1 over 2. And what is some of my bases are 12 and 5, so that's 17. So 6.1 divided by 2, helps if my calculator's on. 6.1 divided by 2 times 17. 51.85. Now I've got everything I need to plug in that formula. Times 2 plus 31 times 8 is 351.7. And it's miles squared. Expect to see a trapezoid base prism on the test, okay? Expect it. This is a problem you may want to go back and review as you're getting ready for this test tonight. Find the surface area of the figure. What I haven't emphasized in the last two problems is make sure you're reading the problem. Because I could just as easily, instead of surface area, I could just as easily say the word volume there. And now we got a completely different formula, right? So make sure you are paying attention to that. Surface area of the figure, it is what? This is a pyramid. And it's pretty clear. I mean, it's all coming to a tip, right? It's a pyramid. What do I need? So the surface area of a pyramid is a pyramid. Oops. There. Being like that. Okay. It is one base plus perimeter of the base times the slant height divided by 2. Right? There's our formula. So we identify what it is we're looking for. Surface area of a pyramid. You look it up in your formula sheet. That's the formula you see. Now we need to know what the variables stand for. B, capital B is always base area. P, perimeter of base. That cursive L is slant height. And then the number 2 is the number 2. In case you hadn't figured that one out yet. Just saying. Okay. So those are the things I need to find out. I need to know my base area. I need to know the perimeter of the base. I need to know my slant height. Slant height is easy. That's given. What is it? 13.8 miles. It's big. Perimeter of my base. Well, what shape is my base? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides to my base. Each side is 10. So that's pretty easy to figure out. It is 50. My base area. The base is a regular polygon, which means the formula for that is perimeter times apothem divided by 2. But I already know the perimeter. Do I know the apothem? Yeah, it's given, 6.9. So again, it's not really that you're having to do terribly much work here. You just got to know where to put the numbers in the formulas. We're not testing can you solve all sorts of trig and Pythagorean theorem in these problems. It's can you put the numbers in the right places. So my base area is 25 times 6.9, 172.5. Miles squared. And so then I got 172.5 plus 50 times 13.8 divided by 2. 517.5. And it's miles squared because it's an area. Area, miles squared. Know the formula, find that area. And again, if you get stuck, if you can't figure out how to find the base area and you say, well, then I'm stuck on this problem, at least list these facts. Show me that you know which formula is the correct formula and list the facts that you know. You'll get some partial credit, right? If you can't get all the way to the end. Surface area of a cone. Gosh, cones, same thing. It's perimeter of the base area. Again, surface area we're looking for. Perimeter times slant height divided by 2. The base is a circle, so the base area is r squared times pi, or pi r squared. What's my radius? 7. It's not 14. Don't be that person who just slaps whatever number you see into a formula. Think before you calculate. Okay? So that's 49 pi. Perimeter of the base. Perimeter of the base is going to be the circumference of the circle, which is 14 pi inches. Slant height is 15.7. Sorry, it's meters, not inches. Okay. And now we have to figure it out. Now, we do probably want to decimalize this one because there's a decimal here in the slant height. That's fine. So I get 49 times 3.14 plus 14 times 3.14 times 15.7 divided by 2. And I get 499 approximately, 498.9. When I plug it all in the formula. Because realize, once you've gotten this far, once you've got all this stuff listed and you know your formula, plugging in the formula is easy. Surface area of a sphere. This one's on your formula sheet. What is it? 4 pi r squared. Again, surface area is what we're looking for. That's 4 pi r squared. We've got the formula given to us. Oh, I'm given the diameter is 11.2. That means the radius is 5.6. That's we got to divide by 2 there. Pretty brutal. And it's 4 times 3.14 times 5.6 times 5.6. Right? Order of operations, we square before we multiply. So 5.6 squared times 4 times 3.14. 393.9. Actually, the nearest hundredth would be 0.88, excuse me. And it's kilometers. Square kilometers. I guess I wasn't reading very well before. It said round to the nearest hundredth. I rounded to the nearest tenth. I'd probably lose a couple points here. There goes my 100% on the test. Oh no. Be careful. Now it looks like we're doing the same thing, but the instructions have changed. Make sure you're reading that. So clearly if it says find the volume, the formulas we're looking at on our sheet should be the formulas that say volume, right? I shouldn't be looking at the surface area formulas. I mean, really, guys, this should be just about idiot-proof. If you look at the instruction that says find the volume, and you use the surface area formula, that's on you. Because you got the formula in front of you, and it says surface area or volume. So if you're not reading and coordinating, that's a lack of concentration issue. Put the phone away. I will take it away. Okay? Volume for a prism. Easiest formula we have. Base area times height. What is my base? My base is a pentagon. A regular pentagon, which means perimeter times apothem divided by 2. Gosh, do I know the length of the sides? Yes, I do. The perimeter is 35. Each side is 7. Do I know the length of the apothem? Yes, it's given to me. 4.8 divided by 2. So 35 times 4.8 divided by 2 is 84 inches squared. The height is the height of the prism, which is what? 4. So 84 times 4 is 336. And it's inches what? Cubed. Volume is always a cubic unit. It's a volume measure. Units cubed. Okay? It is not 336 cubed inches. It's 336 inches cubed. It's the inches that are cubed, not the 336 that's cubed. Be careful about that. Find the volume of the figure. Oh my gosh, it's another prism. Same formula, base area times height. What shape is my base? My base is a what? Triangle. So my base area is base times height of the triangle, divided by 2. 27.6. What is the height here? What number represents my height? Is the 4.6 my height? 4.6 is the height of the triangle. In the formula for volume, that h is the height of the prism. What is that height? 10. So 10 times that would be 276. Okay. Oh gosh, find the volume. You know, I think it's probably a really good idea when you get on this test, when you are reading the instructions, read the instruction, circle what it is that you're looking for. I'm looking for the volume, so I know to use the right formula. It is a prism or pyramid. It's a pyramid, right? Pretty clear, that's a pyramid. So look on my sheet, that's base area times height divided by 3. What shape is my base? My base is a triangle, but in this case, it's a right triangle, isn't it? So my base area is still base times height divided by 2. My base and my height are the legs of the right triangle. When I have a right triangle, the base and height are the 2 legs, not the hypotenuse. So that's 3 times 4 divided by 2, or 3 times 2, which is 6 centimeters squared. What is the height of my pyramid here? Clearly 4 centimeters, okay? The height of the pyramid, not the slant height, it's the regular right angle height. So 6 times 4 is 24. 24 divided by 3 is 8 centimeters cubed, exactly. Don't forget, base area times height divided by 3. 6 times 4 divided by 3. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Oh gosh, find the volume of the figure again. Notice that we aren't getting things with rectangular bases, are we? They're all triangles, pentagons, hexagons, trapezoids. So we have to be able to do our base areas pretty well. But we should be used to this by now. This is like our 5th pentagon. Gee, the base area is perimeter times apothem divided by 2. Gee, 7 for each side, so that perimeter is 35 again. The apothem is given at 4.8 divided by 2. Isn't that the same one we had before? It is 84 inches squared. What's the height of my pyramid? 12, so 84 times 12 divided by 3. 336 cubic feet. Okay? Because the volume, it is a pyramid that's base area times height divided by 3. It's a sphere. Again, check your formula sheet. 4/3 pi r cubed, or I'm not sure, or is it 4 pi r cubed over 3? How did they put it in the formula sheet? I don't recall. Second one? Okay. Same formula, either way. The only variable in there is the radius. What's the radius of this sphere? 2. So I have to take, the only calculation I really have to do here is 2 cubed, which is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. 4, so 8 times 4 is 32. That's probably the easiest way to represent that answer. But if you want to, you could take 32 times 3.14 and divide it by 3 to get 34.4, nearest hundredth to be 0.49, 33.49.
That's a bunch of twaddle.
It is not.
I heard that word yesterday.
Twaddle?
Twaddle.
Let's not cause a kerfuffle, Churchwell.
From an English, I mean, not an American, but
Yeah, British. I say.
Do you have, is there a roster for PLC folks? Thank you. Making sure. Notice how he's funny. Yes, what can I add?
Yeah, I've been waiting for this question. You didn't answer for surface area too. Should I put it in terms of pi?
Yes.
Put it up there.
Oh,
Just so I know. Thank you.
yep. Quality vocabulary words, twaddle, kerfuffle. Gesundheit. All right. Are these two figures similar? If so, state the scale factor. Okay. Well, what we have, the ratio of the heights are the same as the ratios of the radii, right? So the radius here is going to be 54. So I have to take 30 over 54, 30 over 40, and reduce that. So calculator, 30 fraction key 54 equals 5/9. Ratio of the heights, 40 over 72. Sorry, 40 fraction key 72. Gee, that also reduces to 5/9. Both ratios reduce to 5/9. That makes them similar. What is the scale factor? G, 5/9. Pretty straightforward. A scale factor between two similar figures is given. The surface area and volume of the smaller figure are given. Find the surface area and volume of the larger figure. So if the scale factor is 1 to 2, what would the ratio of the areas be? Scale factor is 1 to 2, so ratio of areas is going to be 1 squared to 2 squared, or 1 to 4. The ratio of volumes is going to be 1 cubed to 2 cubed, or 1 to 8. And we use those ratios to set up our proportions. So for areas, it's 1 to 4. Surface area of the volume, this is of the smaller figure, so that would be 64 to x. And then it would be 1 over 8 equals 1280 over x. Because the larger figure is what is unknown. So the larger is on the bottom, clearly, in the proportion. Let me just cross multiply and solve. And both these are 4 times 64 equals 1 times x divided by 1, x equals 256. And units. And 8 times 1280 is 10,240. And it's feet cubed. So there's my surface area and my volume. We just use the ratios. Oh, there's no picture here. Let's do this one then. I don't know. So again, we want to find the volume of this figure, and all we do is find the volume of the cylinder plus the volume of the cone. The radius here is going to be 6, so the base area is 36 pi. So the volume of the cylinder is 36 pi, base area times the height, plus the volume of the cone would be the base area, which is still 36 pi, times the height. Oh, they made this is a difficult one. You'd have to use Pythagorean theorem to find the height. So this is 6, so we'd need to, okay, it's going to be 8. Divided by 3, and that would be the volume. All right. If you have additional questions, stop in and see me after school. Stop in the testing center. Stop in the learning center. Get some help. This is as far as I'm going to be able to get because I have to get to another class. No, probably not. They're going to run out of time. Hold on.